Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai go Hare Ba, Hare Ba, Hare Ba, Ba, Hare Ba. Jaya Vishnupada Paramahamsa, Parivraj Kacharya. Asto Trasatad Systematic Divine Grace is compound Acharya, Sila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. Jaya Vishnupada Paramahamsa, Parivraj Kacharya. Asto Trasatad Systematic Divine Grace, Sila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavina Ki Jai. Namacharya Sila Haridasa Kaur Ki Jai. Prem se kahao Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Si Advaita Gadadara Si Vasari Si Gaura Bhakta Vinda Ki Jai. Sisi Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Shyamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Savindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Simayappa Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Sri Jagannath Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Maya Yamuna Maya Ki Jai. Simati Tulsi Devi Bhakta Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vena Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the Sama devotees. All glories to the Sama devotees. All glories to the Sama devotees. All glories to Sisi Guru and Guranga. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 12, Text 8. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottama. What next? Devi Saraswati Vyatsa Tato Jaya Mudirai. Nasa Prayesva Bhadrisu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavaiti Naistiki. So, welcome everyone to this segment of the morning program, the class, Srimad Bhagavatam class, hearing about Krishna and his devotees' pastimes. So the title of this chapter is Dhruva Maharaj Goes Back to Godhead. Matriya Huvacha Saraja Rajena Varayachodito Dhruvo Mahabhagavato Mahamati Harosavavre Chalitam Smitim Yaya Tarantyayatnena Duratayam Tamaha Sarajarajena Varaya Chodito Dhruvo Maha Bhagavato Mahamati Harosavavre Chalitam Smitim Yaya Tarantyayatnena Duratayam Tamaha Sarajarajena Varaya Chodito Dhruvo Maha Bhagavato Mahamati Harosavavre Chalitam Smiti Yaya Tarantyayatnena Duratayam Tamaha. Can someone try? ladies. Anyone else, ladies? Okay, so what translation? And then translation and purport by His Divine Grace is confounded Acharya. Sila Abhachan Vina Bhakti Vedanta Swami Papa Maharaj Ki Jai. Sila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Matriyaha Uvacha. The great sage Maitreya said, Saha, he, Raja, Rajena, by the King of Kings, Kuvera, Varaya, for a benediction, Choditaha, being asked, Dhruvaha, Dhruva Maharaj, Mahabhagavataha, a first-class pure devotee, Mahamati, most intelligent or thoughtful, Haro, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Saha, he, Vavre, asked, Chalitam, unflinching, Smritim, remembrance, Yaya, by wish, Tarati, crosses over, Ayatnina, without difficulty, Duratayam, unsurpassable, Tamaha, nations. Translation. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, when thus asked to accept a benediction from Kuvera, the Yavaraj, king of the Yakshas, Dhruva Maharaj, that most elevated devotee who was an intelligent and thoughtful king, begged that he might have unflinching faith in and remembrance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For thus, a person can cross over the ocean of nations very easily, although it was very difficult for others to cross. Please kindly responsibly repeat. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, when thus asked to accept a benediction from Kuvera, the Yaksharaj, king of the Yakshas, Dhruva Maharaj, that most elevated pure devotee, who was an intelligent and thoughtful king, begged that he might have unflinching faith in and remembrance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for thus a person can cross over the ocean of nations very easily, although it is very difficult for others to cross. Purport. According to the opinion of expert followers of Vedic rites, there are different types of benedictions in terms of religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. These four principles are known as Chaturvargas. Of all the Chaturvargas, the benediction of liberation is considered to be the highest in this material world. To be unable to cross over material nations is known as the highest purusata, or benediction for the human being. But Dhruva Maharaj wanted a benediction which surpasses even the highest purusata, liberation. He wanted the benediction that he might constantly remember the lotus feet of the Lord. Thus, this stage of life is called Panchama Purusata. When a devotee comes to the platform of Panchama Purusata, simply engaging in devotional service to the Lord, the fourth Purusata, liberation, becomes very insignificant in his eyes. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati has stated in this connection that for a devotee, liberation is a hellish condition of life. As far as sense gratification, which is available in the heavenly planets, the devotee considers it to be a will-o'-the-wisp, having no value in life. Yogis endeavor to control the senses, but for a devotee, controlling the senses is no difficulty at all. The senses are compared to serpents, but for a devotee, the serpent's poisons, teeth are broken. Thus, Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati has analyzed all kinds of benedictions available in this world, and he has clearly declared that for a pure devotee, they are all of no significance. Dhruva Maharaj was also a Mahabhagavata, or a first-class pure devotee, and his intelligence was very great, Mahamati. Unless one is very intelligent, one cannot take to devotional service or Krishna consciousness. Unless one is very intelligent, one cannot take to this process of Krishna consciousness. Naturally, anyone who is a first-class devotee must be a first-class intelligent person, and therefore not interested in any kind of benediction within this material world. Kuvera, the treasurer of the demigods, whose only business is to supply immense riches to persons within this materialistic world, is described as the King of Kings because unless one is blessed by Kuvera, one cannot become a king. The King of Kings personally offered Dhruva Maharaj any amount of riches, but he declined to accept them. He is described, therefore, as Mahamati, very thoughtful or highly intellectual. Obagyanat Mirandasya, Gunajana Salankaya, Saksud Militam Yena Tasmai, Se Gurve Namaha, Sejeta Imanum Vistam, Stam Fetam, Yenabutali, Swayam Rupam Kadamayam, Dadati Swa, Padantika. Vande Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Nityananda Sahodato, Gurudaya Paspavanto Chida Chantamond. Vanchakalpatari Bicha, Kripasanabhya Yevacha, Patitanam Pavanam Vaishnavibhyo Namo. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadarara, Sri Vasadi, Sri Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityananda, Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gaura Bhakti Nirvisis, Sanyavadi Pasatka Visatara. So welcome everyone to this morning class. So we hear from Maitreya recounting the encounter of Kuvera and Dhruva Maharaj. And he was recounting that narrative to Maitreya was recounting that narrative to Vidura. So all of these people, they are very highly exalted. Vidura is an exalted devotee of the Lord. Maitreya is a very exalted sage. Dhruva, we hear him from this purport, is a Maha Bhagavata. And Kuvera, he is King of Kings. So they are all elevated people, you know. They are not beggars like me. So, in the Prabhupada also emphasize that those who take to this part of devotional service are considered very intelligent. So all of you, you're very intelligent people. Otherwise, why following this path when there is so much of sense gratification in Germany? Huh? You can enjoy yourself as much as you want. But you choose to live a life of regulations. People don't want to be regulated. It's like when you're in prison, you can be regulated, but outside of prison, no, people don't want to be regulated, you know. They want to do anything they want to do. Anything they like to do, they want to do it. They want to experiment with everything. They don't just want to hear. They want to experiment. They want to go and taste it. So, also in the Prabhupada makes a reference to Prabhupada Saraswati is one of those erudite, pure souls, pure devotees, who have written so much about pure devotional service. And so, Prabhupada Saraswati, he gave a delineation about the different ways that people can seek for benediction. Seek for benediction, material benediction, in terms of religiosity, economic development, Even liberation is considered the highest. But we see in the case of Dhruva, now this is a typical example, typical case where we understand that the pure devotee does not even ask for liberation from Krishna. He does not ask for, give me bread. He doesn't come to ask Krishna, give me daily bread. Huh? Whereas, people are busy begging God. You see, our tradition is that we're begging God for what? What do we beg Krishna for? We're begging Krishna for what? Every day we're begging Krishna for one thing. Tell me. Bolo. Service, yeah. We are begging Krishna for service. Other people are busy going to the churches, going to the mosque, and they're begging God for bread, for good wife, for good husband, for good car, for good job, good this, good that. So we could query that. Or you mean in Krishna consciousness one cannot ask Krishna for any of these things? No, that's not the implication of that statement. In fact, Krishna advised people, he said, instead of going to the demigods, whatever your desires are, hey, come over here. Come to me. He said, come to me. Come to me. Krishna is the best of pranksters. Because Krishna knows that if whatever desires you have, when you come to him, you will get purified of those desires. And you ultimately will be seeking to love him. You'll be crazy after him. To the point that for the pure devotees, Akinchanas, Krishna, you know what he does for them? It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter your background. He makes you to be a beggar. Who likes begging? No intelligent person who is properly economically situated, nobody likes to beg. But Krishna makes his pure devotees a beggar. Bipa Mangal Thakur wrote a very nice poetic song, and I love that song like anything, And so one of the verses, he said that this Krishna, oh no, I've never seen such a thief. He's just a big thief. In the whole 3 worlds, I couldn't find anybody a better cheat than this guy. So he goes to steal the clothes of the cowherd girls. They are beaten. He went to steal the clothes of the cowherd girls. One could say, this Krishna is just a rascal. He goes around the neighborhoods to steal milk products. Even these parents at his home, Mother Yasoda has a stock of milk products, but Krishna goes out to the neighbors to steal milk products. So Bipa Mangal says, this thief, I don't understand. In the whole 3 worlds. And not only that, see, thieves only want to take something from you. Have you seen any thief that comes to you and says, give me all of your sinful reactions? But Bipa Mangal Thakur says that Krishna, what makes Krishna, his thievery most amazing is that he even steals the sinful reactions of his pure devotees. So worshiping Krishna entails a lot. There are lots of implications, spiritual implications, devotional implications, social implications. So the very idea that we are worshiping Krishna, we should understand about who this person is. It's not just a God of reverence only. He likes fun. He plays around. And I was telling this story, I don't know whether it was in Switzerland. I was telling this story about Krishna regarding his thievery. So he goes to steal from Upananda's home. And Upananda's wife caught him. And all along, Yasoda always protects his son. She doesn't accept that Krishna goes to steal from anybody. He says they are just trying to find fault with his lovely baby. None of us, it means they're envious. They just want to find fault, incriminate the boy so that she will chastise him. So one day Krishna went to steal from Upananda's home, and Upananda's wife caught him. Upananda is one of Nanda Maharaj's brothers. So Upananda's wife caught him, and Krishna begged. She said, I'm taking you to your mom. She always defends you. So I'm taking you to her. Let us see that we are not just making false accusations. You are a thief. So Krishna begged, and Upananda's wife was very adamant. So, not to disgrace him along the road, she used a sari to cover his face. Let's go. So they went to Mother Yasoda's home, and then she announced that, hey, Mother Yasoda, see, I brought Krishna. He went to steal in my home, in my house, and I brought him. You kept defending your boy. I brought him right here. You see, where is he? So she unveiled Krishna, and what happened? Upananda himself. Krishna has changed to Upananda. And so Mother Yasoda said, come on, this is your husband, and you say he's my son who went to your house to steal? Your husband went to your house to stole from you, and you are now accusing my son. What is this? So she was so humiliated. So she went back. Your husband, you can't leave him there. He's not Yasoda's son. So they started going back. And they were going along, and then Krishna turned into Krishna again. And then Krishna said that, I told you, I begged you so much. You refused. You look for this humiliation. So it just funny. Krishna is funny and naughty, but he is the source of the spiritual and the material world. Krishna declared in the Bhagavad Gita, he is the source of. So it is mentioned here that intelligent people are those who take to the worship of Krishna. Intelligent people. People who are highly intellectual. Elsewhere in the Bhagavatam it is mentioned too regarding those who take to Krishna consciousness, how they are intelligent. Because you find in this material world, people are roaming back and forth. They're going up and they're coming down. They're going from one place to the other. For what? Seeking for sense gratification. So, in Bhagavatam is mentioned, Tasheva heto prayate takovido. It's only those who are super intelligent, kavis, people who are wise, they take to Krishna consciousness. Yeah. Na labhyate brahmatam upariada.
They don't follow this. They don't follow the flow. They don't follow the flow of simply, moving from one local to the other, or moving from one place, from Germany to Switzerland, and then from Switzerland to America, looking for what? Same gratification. No, they don't. Intelligent people, they don't really care about those things. They take to Krishna consciousness. Instead of going from one Brahmanda to the other, from heaven, finish if you are pious, pay your pious credit is expired, you come down again to the middle planetary systems to begin to work very hard. And people in general, other religious traditions, they are motivating their followers to go to heaven because they heard about heaven. There's so much of enjoyment in heaven. This same sense gratification, this same chewing the chewed. Chavita, puna chavita, chavanana. Sugar cane. If you squeeze a sugar cane, you squeeze all the juice out of it and you throw the shaft away. And it's only a mad person who will pick it up and start chewing it. But that's what we are doing in the material world. Puna, chavita, chavana. So, those who are simply wasting their human life, they're not interested in Krishna consciousness. It is those who have sufficient pious merit that take to Krishna consciousness. Try to understand. Just like you don't go into one community, say nearby here, you go into the city, and you find highly intelligent people in one building. Or the whole building is occupied by doctors, PhDs. No. People are not interested in going too high in schools. They finish first degree, immediately they go to work to get money and enjoy themselves. Who cares about going to suffer more and more? I remember one young boy I met in Boston, in Massachusetts, in America. He was driving me around when I went to Boston. And so I asked him, who owns this car? He said, my mother. He said, his mom. I said, why don't you go to school so that you can get a job and have your own car? He laughed at me. He said, Maharaj, 18 years. 18 years is referring to graduating from high school. He said, 18 years of schooling. I am done. He said he even forced himself to go and graduate from high school because the law in Massachusetts is that if you don't do that, you will go to jail, your parents will go to jail. Yeah. Education is compulsory in that state. So, people are not interested in struggling hard. And also people are not interested in austerities that they don't get immediate results, immediate material results. So in most cases, you find if you go out for book distribution, people are having some challenges in life. They ask you of different things that possibly you can help them to solve their problems. Yes, Krishna can help anyone to help their problems. So we may give the books in millions, which is basically planting the seed. But if you go and throw seeds in a farm, the farm might have been tilled or worked on by caterpillars or whatever, and you go and throw some seeds. Some will sprout, some will develop into trees. Not all of them. Yes, you planted them, you throw the seeds. So why is it that most of them will not really sprout? Because the heat is there during the summer. And if it is not watered, that is the probability of the seeds sprouting, growing, and developing to flourishing trees might be 1 infinity. That means most unlikely. So a devotee is very rare. Especially here on this planet, devotees are very, very rare. What is the population of Germany? How many devotees who are practicing do you have? What's the population of the world? 8-point-something billion. Do we even have up to 1 billion devotees? No. So, it should be understood that on this part of endeavor, it is for exceptional few. It is for exceptional few. Prabhupada considers this, say, the Chaitanya Charitamrita as a postgraduate study in spirituality. Krishna consciousness is like a postgraduate study. Not every student who graduates goes for a master's or goes for a PhD. Because the sense gratification, the allurement for sense gratification is so intense on this planet. People are running back and forth for everything they could do to be able to get the sense gratification. But here, Dhruva rejects every damn thing he was offered. He was meeting with Kuvera, the king of kings, described, the king of kings. Prabhupada also mentioned in the purport that Kuvera, why is he king of kings? Because it is he who coronates other kings. He's not just a treasurer. He has so much of power. And he can give wealth. Imagine when you go to meet the richest person in Germany, here in Germany. Who is the richest person? And the devotees don't know current affairs in most cases. They are very busy with Krishna. Right? Okay. Alvi. So if you go to meet, say, okay, maybe not a devotee. Anybody who is not a devotee goes to meet the Alvi brothers. What is he going for? To beg for money. To beg for help. Here Dhruva met the reservoir of all riches. And he is the one asking. Ask for a benediction. I'm ready to give you a benediction. In other words, you meet the richest person in Germany, and then he's asking you, ask for a benediction. What can I do for you? Some people will say, come and build a whole estate for me. In other words, they will ask for material boon. So Kuvera was also having those opportunities to be able to give the wealth to Dhruva. But Dhruva, because he is a Mahabhagavata, he was not interested in anything material. He could ask for material boon, he could ask for liberation. So in the Papa is mentioned, he did not ask for anything material. And therefore, the advantage that the devotee has is that, keep in mind, Dhruva went from one stage to the other. He went to start his worship with material motivations. He went to the forest to beg for a kingdom greater than that of his father. Because he was emotionally abused by his stepmother. He wanted to sit on the king's lap. And his stepmother said, not for you. So he was emotionally abused. He didn't go to cry. He didn't just go to his room and start crying. He thought, I must do something to teach this woman a lesson. Sometimes we get insulted by somebody and, we get traumatized and we're weeping and we feel so sorry. Our low self, we become so much ingrained in low self-esteem. They do but no. So that's a great asset for us, because you're living in a material world. Someone will humiliate you. And you could go really completely despondent. I remember one devotee told me a story in America. It's a white devotee. So he told me a story how they were in Boston distributing back to Goddard. And so they went to Howard University Park. Howard University is one of the Ivy Leagues in America, one of the topmost universities. So they went there to distribute back to Goddard. I like telling this story because for one reason or the other. So he went to distribute back to Goddard with some devotees in the park. So he saw one young man highlighted from his car. So he approached him and gave him the back to Goddard, showed the back to Goddard to him. And this young man, he turned to him and said, "Don't you know I'm Howard professor?" In America, Howard professors are considered like they're treated like demigods. So this devotee told me he was traumatized. Why? He never went to college. And here, he meets somebody who's a professor, a teacher of college students, telling him, literally like telling him, what have you got to tell me? I know everything. I'm a professor of the highest university in America. What have you got to tell me? Get out here. He said he did not distribute a single magazine that day. One single book it could not distribute. He was so much affected. He was humiliated. Dhruva Maharaj also was humiliated by the stepmother. You see, that is a stranger who humiliated him. And if someone close to you hurts you, it's more painful. It's more painful. Because some outsider, you may just overcome it very shortly. But someone close to you, your loved one, hurts you, it could be so devastating. And it takes some time to overcome that trauma. But Dhruva was humiliated by someone very close to him. His stepmother, that's the next person to his mother. But he didn't go into despondency. He was having that Kshatriya spirit. And therefore, the Kshatriyas, if they are injured on the battlefield. Here, Dhruva was injured. If the Kshatriyas, if even they are injured on the battlefield, they keep fighting. Sometimes other colleagues will just come and then bundle them and take them away. But they keep fighting. Dhruva was still fighting. So there's a lot we can learn from Dhruva's life. If someone hurts us, someone humiliates us, we should not just go into seclusion and Okay, maybe you come to the temple and someone says something hurtful to you, and you so decide, all right, I'm not going to this temple anymore. Temple is belonging to Lord Shingadev. So, if someone hurts us, we have to strategize ways on how to overcome that, how to transcend that, how to move forward with our lives. This is what Dhruva Maharaj did exactly. He wanted to meet his mother, complain to the mother, and the mother gave him some instructions. He gave him some advice. It's only Lord Vishnu who can help you. Where can I find Lord Vishnu? Or sages, they go to the forest to seek for him. So here we find a young boy, a Kumara, by the way, 5 years old. It's not something to talk about. But he was very, very determined to forge ahead, although he was humiliated. And he was successful. The beauty is that he was successful. And therefore, it is important for us to understand that the devotional life we are following, we need to remind ourselves that this is the highest activity anyone can perform in this universe. Not just this planet, in this universe. This is the highest activity one can perform. And you're guaranteed of the results. Other activities you may perform, you may not be guaranteed of the results. And if you don't get to the final stage, you're done. Finish. Devotional service, if even we are not able to get to the final stage, Krishna makes an arrangement. There is no loss or diminution on this part of bhakti. And so, we should not feel hesitant to give in all of our energies in devotional service. Because there is nothing in this world that is more glorious than service the lotus feet of the Lord. And you are considered the most intelligent person by taking to this part of devotional service. Even materially speaking, we've seen situations or cases where devotees go out to preach, and people just think that oh, those people, you have to go to college, you have to go to university to acquire plenty of degrees before you can join them, because they talk, they speak really very powerful. I remember we went out for preaching, and then one gentleman came out from his store, and he said, when I hear you guys talk, I like your talks, I like your teachings. But you know what? I bought some of your books. I read those books. I don't understand anything. I don't understand anything yet. So we are in the process, and sometimes we forget that some people are not fortunate enough to be in this process. And even the best of Purusatas cannot be compared to this devotional service. By practicing, we are in the process of sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti is also divided into two. We have the Raganuga and Vedi. So in Vedi sadhana, we may not have the taste for instance, of the holy name. But we have a higher understanding where this chanting will lead us to. We will get to that taste in due course of time. So we don't say, well, I've been chanting all these years, I'm not having any taste. No, the taste will come. And therefore we should be consistent in our endeavor in Krishna consciousness. Because it takes a highly intelligent person, highly intellectual person, to take to Krishna consciousness. Don't even think of trading your Krishna consciousness cultivation with anything else. So, the great sage Maitreya continued, my dear Vidura, when those asked to accept a benediction from Kuvera, the Yaksharaj, king of the Yakshas, Dhruva Maharaj, that most elevated pure devotee who was an intelligent and thoughtful king, begged that he might have unflinching faith in and remembrance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For thus, a person can cross over the ocean of nations very easily, although it is very difficult. Duratya means something very difficult. Like Krishna used the word in the Gita, Mama Maya Duratya, my material energy, very difficult to overcome. So, it is very difficult to cross over the ocean of nations and attain Krishna. That is recognized also in this purport. But by taking to Krishna consciousness, by remembering Krishna, one is endowed with that privilege of perfecting his existence or her existence in remembering, chanting and remembering, hearing and chanting Krishna's holy names. So this is it's called samadhi, constantly engage in Krishna's service. Man mana, Krishna demands also of that. Man mana, always think of me. So Dhruva is aligned with Krishna's statement, and he knows that always to be situated on the platform of always thinking of Krishna is the highest benediction. So he sought for that highest benediction. Any comments or questions? Yes.
You spoke how distributing books is like putting seeds in the ground. But if the ground is useless, no seed will sprout. So I grew up with quotes by Srila Prabhupada who would say that if he touches the book, if he appreciates the book, if he reads one word, he makes some substantial advancement. So are those simply words of encouragement for his disciples, or did he actually mean this? Because then, even though you cannot see the seed sprout immediately, but it means that there's some acid, there's some effect, sure, which will take place over time. So how is that?
Yeah. What proper meant is no allegory there. It's not a metaphor. It's a literal statement. So yeah, just see, these books, this is the literary incarnation of Krishna. Just like we don't keep deities on our laps. If you read the Pancharatra Vidi, the authors mention so many rules in worshiping the deities, so many rules in dealing with the deities. You can't keep deities just beyond your waist. No. So these books also, we are not supposed to put them on our laps. Why? Because the Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, they are the literal incarnation of God. So yes, If you just encounter the Lord, you get benedictions. So if just by touching the book, yes, you get benediction. And there are people who buy Prabhupada's books. I remember one devotee was telling me how his brother or father or someone in the family bought a Bhagavatam. He puts it in his library, and then he was cleaning the library. And one day, he just saw this book. He was attracted to the book. He picked it up. He read, and there were strange philosophies in it. That's how he became attracted to it. He liked strange things that he never heard before. That's how he became a devotee. The person who bought it couldn't practice, did not even read it. But just by buying, you get some benediction. Just by touching, you get some benediction. I mean, it's like fire. You get close to fire. You feel the heat. So, yeah, the analogy that I gave in terms of the seeds is that each time we do something, it should be considered that we are doing something for the purpose of regeneration of Krishna consciousness in peoples. But the irony is that not everyone is ripe to sit down and chant Hare Krishna or follow your four regulative principles. And if you're expecting everyone to come to the temple and sit down and chant and follow four regulative principles, that expectation may not be met. Because I've seen people also in my life, they are top class professors and all these things. They like Krishna consciousness, but you know, the zeal, the willpower, they are not endowed with the willpower to be able to practice. So yeah, they have some, but just by associating with the devotees, they have some benediction. So our endeavor, we should not think that is wasted when we preach to somebody. And sometimes devotees are also very impatient, especially with the families. With the family members are not interested, and then, I remember, one of my friends in Washington D.C. She's in Mayapur now. She was my bank manager. She was helping me with some things. One devotee contacted her, and then she helped me with some things. And so we became friends, and she used to invite me to her home. But then she was just a great person, working as a bank manager in Washington, D.C. She was chanting 64 rounds every day. A bank manager in Washington, she was chanting 64 rounds every day. The result of that is that at some point in time she retired and went to Mayapur. Yeah. So the bottom line is that, yeah, we do our preaching, but we should not expect everybody to come and sit down in our temples, to do all of the things, follow our regulated life. And when the seeds are planted, they sprout up. It may take some time, depending on the type of seed. If it's a mango, it takes some years before it develops fruits. Is that correct? Yeah. And there are some of the vegetables, the seeds you plant. Very quickly, you start harvesting. So there are different expectations when we go into the forest to do our farming, cultivation of people, or trying to do some cultivation. And therefore, if even we don't expect, if even we don't see the seeds sprout, we should not be worried. We've done our part. The important thing is to be able to do our part. We should not expect everybody to be a practitioner of Krishna consciousness in this life. Especially in most cases, see, just by a devotee becoming fully involved in devotional service. It is mentioned in the discussion between Pundarik Vidyanidhi and Garadara. Garadara became offensive to Vidyarik Pundanidhi in the change of Bhagavad. Because Pundarik was living in some type of flamboyant life. And when Garadara has heard about the glories of Pundarik Vidyanidhi, and when he came to see him, he was sitting in a very opulent place and very purportedly materialistic environment. And Pundarik Vidyanidhi understood his mindset. The person who brought him there also understood his mindset. And then the person who brought him chanted some hymns, and Pundarik Vidyanidhi swam into spiritual ecstasy. And then Gadara Pandit thought, oh my God, I'm finished. I committed an offense to a pure devotee, to a Mahabhagavat. And so he decided to take initiation from Pundarik Vidyanidhi. And then in their discussions, so Gadara is a very learned scholar, highly elevated devotee. So then Pundarik Vidyanidhi was explaining that he is just very fortunate, he is just lucky that he gets a Pandit, pure, elevated, intellectual devotee like Gadara Pandit. And so it is not, Krishna was just merciful to him. So each time we make someone a devotee who is highly intellectual or highly evolved, materially speaking, and then we make them devotees. This is the mercy of Lord Krishna on that individual preacher or the person who made that person a devotee. And therefore, it is important for us to do the planting of the seeds. One of these biographies of Prabhupada by Sasarup Maharaj, he calls it planting the seed. You read that book? Yeah. So what we are doing is like planting seeds. But we also need to do the watering of the garden. Since they're planted, we have to water them. Even our own lives, our devotional lives, we have to water the devotional creeper. And that is why we come into the programs. And that is why we sit down or stand up or whatever to chant every day. And that is why we take only Krishna Prasada. We could say, well, there are so many nice vegetarian stuffs out there. But Prabhupada wanted his devotees to focus on prasada. Anything that is not offered is considered sin, papa. So yeah, what Prabhupada said about his books, touching, reading, just by encountering the books, one gets some transformation. So it's not a metaphor, it's not an allegory. They are literal statements, and it's real. Does it make some sense? All right, okay, yes.
Maharaj, you mentioned that devotees are intelligent and exceptional people. Having this mentality, how can we always stay humble? Because sometimes it's tricky. You will feel like, oh, maybe I got this gift of Krishna consciousness, so I'm better than the other person. Sometimes it's really tricky. So what's your guidelines for us to always stay humble?
Yeah, that's a very, very powerful, nice question, Yeah, see, we have a tendency. We have, Bhakti Swami Maharaj mentioned that the false ego is our greatest problem. For devotees, the false ego is our greatest problem. Not even lost. Krishna said, people are forced to do things against the better judgment because of lust. That is like the greatest enemy. But for the devotee, the false ego is our greatest enemy. So we have to guide against the false ego. We should not also go to the extreme. I give you an example of someone who went to the extreme about trying to guide against the false ego. In a Gurukul in Vrindavan, the teacher, what is his name? Yeah, Burijan. Burijan told a story when he was giving Bhakti Sastri class. He told a story how one of the students in his class was not doing good. So he encouraged him that, hey, your grades are going down. Wake up. He said, no. I don't want to be puffed up. If I get high grades, I'll be puffed up. Yeah, so we should also go to the extreme of saying, okay, I want to really check myself from the false ego, because now I know I'm a very important person and I'm highly intelligent and most intelligent persons on the planet. And so I want to be careful so that I don't get puffed up. See, what we can do is to always look around, and we will always get somebody that we can learn something from. In other words, we can always emulate something from somebody, some devotee. Instead of imitating, we can emulate. Imitating here connotatively implies that someone, if even someone does something unhealthy, unethical, and then we want to do like that. That is imitation. But emulation, it implies that we look at the good qualities of people. Haridas Pandit, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita is mentioned that Haridas Pandit, there's Haridas Thakur, two Haridas Thakurs, but this is Haridas Pandit. Haridas Pandit, he has this value, this quality of looking for the good qualities in people and pick them up. He doesn't look at the bad quality. So we'll always see people who are better than us, and we can always learn from them. And when we see people who are better than us, we should not be despondent. We should not think, or that should not lower our self-esteem, but we can learn something from somebody. And we can always remain humble. For instance, okay, I'll give you an example of, I can give an example of myself. Okay, so here somebody, I go to places sometimes and people say, oh, he's very lucky. He's a Swami, he's a guru, has a PhD. So sometimes people, I got confronted also, people ask me, so, man, I don't see you being puffed up, you're just very simple. You talk and smile with us. You sit down and eat the same, and eat. So what is your secret? I said, see, I always find people who are better than me, like PhD. I have friends who have 3 PhDs. So what will make you to be puffed? You'll always find someone who is better than you. Duryodhana was asked by Drona to go out and check whether he will get anybody that is better than him. He came back to say no, he didn't find anybody. So, as soon as we begin to think that we are the best, and we begin to act like that, that is Duryodhana consciousness. We should avoid that. So we should always think, yes, I may be lucky, to be in devotional service. But, there are so many people who are better than me. And I really have to work hard so that I can become better. Yeah. Horrible. What's the time now? Past 10. All right. If there's no last question, we have to, I will seek for adjournment of this meeting. All right. So, thank you. Yes. Angry with you? Yes. Well, maybe they are not.
In the purport, it mentioned about snakes with broken fangs. When a person engages in devotional service, yes, the senses, they are like serpents with broken fangs. Can you explain what this means?
Yeah. See, the senses drive people crazy. See, but this is not just a Vedic philosophy. The general theory of crime, those who study criminology up to PhD level, they know general theory of crime. The general theory of crime stipulates, it was propounded by two criminologists, Gottfriedson and Hitchie, in 1990. They published their work. Now, the general theory of crime stipulates that all crimes and antisocial behavior, say sinful activities, crimes, immoral activities, they are due to uncontrolled senses. So it's not just a backwater philosophy, okay? They put it in a very nice way. All crimes and antisocial behavior are due to low self-control. So the sensory modalities, or we call it this, we describe it as the senses. So the sensory modalities and the mind, they could be very, very distracting. And the senses drive us crazy. What do you think that people use all these high-powered perfumes? Some people, they use perfume, and then they pass you, and you're literally drawn. Yeah. Yeah. I remember, I don't want to mention the temple bed. I was in one community, so I saw there was this beautiful devotee, beautiful lady, and then she was putting on ankle belt. So sometimes I used to, be in the mode of joking. She was in the class there. So after the class, she came to me, we were discussing. And then I said that, so such and such. The class was on ankle bells. The verse of that 10th canto was on ankle bells. So I asked her that, so why are you putting on ankle bells? She looked at me right in the face. She said, for attraction. Oh, yeah. So people wear things. People, they rub perfumes. They do all types of things. They buy all these limousines, sofas, for what? For sense gratification. To attract the senses of people. For what? To enjoy. To exploit them. To exploit. So, the senses are uncontrollable. Sarira avidya ja. Jadandriya taikal. Jiva fele. Vishaya shagar. Vishaya. Sense gratification. The senses, that is the motive. That is their job. So, if someone is a practicing devotee, they don't want to follow the impulse of the senses, but it's not by their efforts, just by taking prasadam, the fangs of the serpents of the senses are broken. She said She asked her, why are you putting on ankle belts? She said, for attraction. Attract the senses of men. The senses are the poison fangs now. She's trying to attract those senses of men to get attracted to her. Are you just poking me or what? I can go raw, okay, if you want, if you ask some questions, yeah. So, the senses are like serpents. Why? You know why my former President Trump in America, he was found guilty of 34 criminal charges. His sentencing is pending in September 12 also. If they sentence him to go to jail, finish. But what is the cause of the problems? Uncontrolled senses. In the Bhagavatam is mentioned, Adanta Gobi Vishatam Tamisham. Uncontrolled senses are the ones that create hell for us. Yes. You tell me one problem that we have that is not due to uncontrolled senses. Tell me one problem a devotee had that is not due to uncontrolled senses. Yeah. So, yeah, the description given there, the analogy given with the serpent is very perfect. And so for the pure devotee, the fangs of the serpent, the poison is broken. He might stay around, same gratification there, and then he is not affected. It's like, it's unimaginable. And then we don't have, even in the colleges and universities, we don't have any institution that is teaching people how to control their senses. We see all over the world arousals, agents of arousal of the senses. And they advertise even, desire more. Go for this. Go for that. These are, the advertisements on the billboards, they fall under the category of subliminal advertising. You can have something on the TV advertised, if even it's unhealthy, and keep advertising it. The people in general, they see the TV as authority. And so they will say, I saw it on TV. Therefore, it must be authorized by the government. Yeah. So, the senses, uncontrolled senses are the worst enemy of the condition. So, devotional service, one of the positive side effects of devotional service is that the senses become purified and they become controlled. Externally, ordinarily speaking, which university, which institution is teaching anybody, anyone, about how to tame the senses, how to become free from the enslavement of the senses? We are literally enslaved by the senses. No one is complaining about that. We fought war against slavery. Here is a perpetual slavery. Nobody talks about it. Yeah. So it's only the devotee who identifies this type of enslavement and says, I'm going to break off. I'm going to be decarcerated from this enslavement. And it begins with regulating the senses. Krishna mentions self-regulation. Yuktahara viharasya. What we eat, the sleep, everything has to be regulated. And take all the Krishna Prasada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.